Alright, what is going on, everyone? It is Foul Play here, and we are back again for some Legacy Bogles. We're playing matches 4 and 5 today. We got to do a land here, so we're going to mulligan. We are also on the die roll and versing our fellow friend named Fox Last. Alright, so this hand is going to be a keep. I think we can just probably ditch one Arcane Flight here, and then get into it. Unfortunately, if we force a negation pitching Arcane Flight, we're not going to have any auras to enable the Daybreak Coronet, but I guess we'll just take that one on the chin for now. Volcanic Island, Delver of Secrets. Okay, well, I guess against Delver, we might have a decent shot. We find Once Upon a Time here, so we might as well lead on casting Once Upon a Time. Interesting to note here, my opponent hasn't just clicked through my turn, so there's potential that he's got a force counterspell up, whether it's negation or will. And we just take the Slippery Bogle here to have a blue card to pitch to force a negation. We'll go Flooded Strand into green white Savannah. We'll play out the Scout, and then we'll have a backup creature for next turn if our opponent decides to counter this one this turn. Alright, opponent casts Daze to counter this one. So that's going to get countered, you know, whatever. It happens. He's returned Volcanic Island to hand, so we know about that one. Preordain entered the reveal card zone, so Delver has flipped already. Opponent will attack us for 3, and then they'll play out Wasteland this time. Okay. I mean, fair play to my opponent. That is a good way to interact with us. I did not think about having my own wastelands. Maybe that's a bit of a mistake on my part. So we will play the Slippery Bogle. Hopefully they don't have Force of Will here. We did reveal to them that we had Slippery Bogle, so it seems a bit awkward if they didn't play around that. There's also potential for our opponent to have another wasteland go after our second land source here, and all of that. But anyway, we will see what they do with their turn. Stalker's definitely beatable for us if we can resolve our spells. It's just going to be us getting into that position. Alright, now we're into our opponent's turn. They're obviously going to attack us. We can't block, nor would we if we could. So we're going to go down to 13 there. Opponent plays out the Volcanic Island we know about and plays the Preordain we know about. So we'll see what he does with his Scries, and Force Negation's not really going to counter a Preordain. That's not a very good target. Plus we want this flying, so we're able to block this Delver of Secrets. So optimal draw for us obviously would also be a land here. Opponent has Scryed 2, 1 top, 1 bottom. We find the Tropical Island, so let's go ahead and cast our Hyena Umbra. Looks like this one's going to resolve. Fortunately, Tropical Island can't let us cast for the Daybreak Coronet. Looks like my opponent has a Force of Will here, or a Force of Negation, because they are thinking pretty long and hard here. If they're going to counter a spell, I'd prefer they counter the Hyena Umbra. That way we can resolve Arcane Flight, Daybreak Coronet, and win from there. There's also potential that my opponent has Daze, and that we'll be playing into it if we play the Arcane Flight. Alright, so that one does resolve. I think we just go ahead and ignore this Force of Negation this game. I think maybe we take out Force of Negations, but Force of Wills are still good. I'm just not sure what we'd take out. Alright, so opponent Force of Negations. The Arcane Flight pitching their own Force of Negation. Pitching a Preordain, pardon me. We're going to be attacked here. So optimal draw for us is land at this point. White mana. Sideboard wise, I assume we bring in the rest in pieces because they've probably got Dreadhorde Arcanist. Yeah, here he comes. We find Ethereal Armor. Well, I mean, that can get added to the board. Outside of that, I don't think we've got many good targets here other than just the rest in pieces for the Force of Negations. So just going to attack into my opponent here. I don't think they're going to get that much value off of casting one Preordain here from the Dreadhorde Arcanist. Obviously, if they like Lightning Bolt, yeah, okay, well, in this case, I suppose we could have foreseen that, blocked the Dreadhorde Arcanist and not died this turn. All right. Well, I ate my own words, kind of. I do feel a little bit like my opponent also high rolled with the way his cards interacted with mine. Coming was Ethereal Armor, so we're still like a turn off. All right, so let's do what we said. Bring in these Rest in Peace, take out those Force of Negation, and I guess we could trim a Hyena Umbra as well, maybe. Although they could bring in Anger of the Gods or some effect similar like that. I guess we... maybe just 2 Rest in Peace is fine. If we assemble our Vigilance, we don't care about his Dreadhorde Arcanist anyway. Alright, well, we've pretty much got our hand here. Let's go ahead and keep. We might need to, like, Force of Will to resolve our Bogle. So, realistically here, we should... probably go ahead and get a Savannah land-wise off the Windswept Heath, just in case we need to cast a Scout or a Once Upon a Time later on. I don't think that double blue is going to be something we'll need with the fact we bought out Force of Negation and the fact that Curious Obsession, we've only got 1 blue aura in hand, right? Alright, so as we said, we'll go ahead and get our Savannah. Play our guy. Pass it over. Alright, so our Bogle resolves, and we'll pass the turn. There's potential our opponent might have a Daze, so we'll lead on the Curious Obsession first next turn. Just having like a little bit of a conversation to my opponent about Legacy at the moment, and the general consensus from him is that Valky isn't that bad in Legacy. He's not like super deep dive into the format. But yeah, at the moment, he says it doesn't seem that good. And like, obviously the format has like Force of Negation, Force of Will, which stuffs up the combo deck that is Valky a fair bit. Very Storm decks are like 47 to 50. But yeah, interesting stuff. Opponent with the Preordain, obviously. I think we let this one resolve. Yeah, apparently Valky is good for counterspell decks. Alright, well, Arcane Flight's a good draw because it enables us resolving our Force of Will here. We'll see what our opponent's got for this one. Force of Negation. Alright, so we'll play around the days. We'll pitch this one. This is why we're casting Curious Obsession first before the Hyena Umbra. See if our opponent has a second counterspell. They pitched Preordain to the first force. Yeah. Alright, well, we'll try for this one. That one like snap resolve, so that might actually be our opponent's counterspells used up now. We find a Force of Will. That's a nice draw. The point where we're going to run into an awkward spot in this match here is if our opponent, well, I guess if he puts up chump blockers and we're not able to attack through. I'm wondering if like a card like Arcane Flight over, oh sorry, a card like the 1-mana unblockable that scries 1 when you attack would be a better place than the Arcane Flight that gives the stat. Just so you don't get like chump blocked out by decks like this or like with Tarmogoyf. Aqueous Form is the card name I was looking for. Alright, so opponent concedes this match. I guess a 3/3 Bogle that draws cards is slightly too good for him. So on to round 5. Sorry, on to game 3. Alright, so we here opponent has kept his 7. We see this pillar of a hand with no green or blue mana and no creature. Once upon a time, but we're missing like a piece, right? Alright, so we'll mulligan to this one. I think we go ahead and keep this. And I think we can just bottom the rest in peace, maybe. We might need to decide to block to play around these Dreadhorde Arcanist and Lightning Bolts shooting us for 6 in one turn. And I might actually like end of my opponent's turn a Once Upon a Time so that I can potentially bait a Force of Will. Like pretend I'm playing around Force of Negation and bait a Force of Will. I think that's probably my best line. Alright, so opponent with the turn 1 Delver. And we'll cast our Once Upon a Time. Alright, well, we'll just find our Slippery Bogle. We have good mana anyway. Maybe we can like go for a land there, but it's super bad if our opponent has Daze or Force of Will here. Yeah, so there's the Force of Will. That's fine. Gets our guy. He loses a Preordain. Delver, does it flip? It'd be good if it doesn't flip, so we don't take a million billion damage. Okay, it flips. Revealing Preordain. So now we're sort of like under a little bit of pressure. And potentially getting hurt by a Mystical Dispute here as well. Maybe we lead on the Bogle to play around Mystical Dispute, because in that situation we don't have a Force in hand and we're not pitching the creature to Force. Opponent Preordain's double top. We find Flooded Strand. I think if we go for just Island here, we protect ourselves from Wasteland. And it's not too bad. We're just going to risk the creature. If he counters it, I'm sort of doomed. I don't think I can wait another turn. Okay, well, our creature does resolve. That is good. And we are going to take another 3. We're going to go to 12. Opponent plays the Ponder. So it does look like our opponent's actually running out of stuff to do. He chooses not to shuffle. Okay, so he does, I suppose, like what's coming to some degree. Let's look to resolve the Arcane Flight. Interesting. Has my opponent got a counterspell for this one? Okay, so he uses a red elemental blast. Let's resolve our curious obsession now. If he's using red elemental blast there, he's probably out of gas. It looks like it resolves. Okay. And we get in for some damage. Rest in peace. Not the best here. Alright, so opponent is currently the beatdown, but in the situation we're in, we can't afford to not attack because Curious Obsession will fall off, and that is a weakness of Curious Obsession. Oh, I guess we can't block the flying anyway, but a weakness of Curious Obsession is the fact that it does just fall off. We might be able to resolve a Rest in Peace and stop like a huge burst turn. I guess like the best thing for us is potentially drawing a Daybreak Coronet and resolving it. So here's Dreadcore to Arcanist. So our opponent can potentially combo us like he did last game. Let's see if we can resolve Rest in Peace and see what our opponent does to us attempting to do that. Maybe, I guess if he's got Lightning Bolt, he can't. He's only got 2 cards in hand. He can't have Lightning Bolt plus a few blue cards. All right. So he does actually counter that. We resolve our Hyena Umbra. We attack. We draw a card. We find an Ethereal Armor. Okay, so we have decent-ish pressure now. Opponent plays Preordain, which he would have drawn. And he's going to be in a position where he can attack for 4 and Preordain again. So opponent has topped 1 card, bottomed the other, and drawn. So opponent gets to go through his deck a little bit here. Red Elemental Blast, destroying my Curious Obsession. Good tech. I think we need Daybreak Coronet here. Plays a second Delver of Secrets. Okay. Opponent has 1 unknown card on top of his library, so Delver's not guaranteed to flip. Attacking here, like, I'm on 5. Maybe it's wrong. I feel like I need to apply some sort of pressure. I'm going to be in trouble, though. And going in on this Scout as a blocker is reasonable. We're only going to have, like, 1 extra turn after this to find what we need anyway. Opponent flips the days, so now he's got 6 in the air. Alright. So it didn't matter blocking on the ground with 2 creatures. What was our next card? Did we find Life Gain? Like, we've got 8 Life Gain auras. We find Curious Obsession. Alright. Well, I guess we're just sort of slightly outmatched there. We'll move on to the next one. Okay, so here we are for the 5th and final match of this league, guys. We lost the Dara, we're on the draw, and we have no creatures, so we're going to mulligan. A quick reminder, if you haven't already and want to support the channel, make sure to subscribe. Let us know what you think of the whole deck, the matchup, all of that stuff down below as well. So opponent has kept 7. We're mulligan to this 5. I think we keep it. Bottom double planes. And yeah, just hope it's all good after that. Opponent with the mana confluence here. I'm gonna hazard a guess and say this is a Valky deck. Alright, so we get Inquisition of Kozilek. That's not what I was expecting. How sweet is this artwork, by the way? Just jumping cat with wings, getting its prey. And some strange owner, which is not too happy. He's old. He's old, he's very invested in his cats. Right, so let's go ahead and cast this one. Brilliant. Creature on top? No creature on top. Alright, well, sad times for us. We do know about like double planes on the bottom, so I don't really want to crack this Flooded Strand just yet. Playing it out first helps us play around something like Wasteland. I suppose we can also use the Flooded Strand there. Opponent now with the Duress. Okay, well, just going to go ahead and yield to the next end step, decide whether or not I want to crack or not. I'm guessing at this point I'm not going to want to. Alright, so needless to say, we have lost our Daybreak Coronet there. I think we just leave this where it is. Okay, and we find a Once Upon a Time. So we'll pass to our opponent. We can Once Upon a Time end step. And obviously, like, more discard spells would just be extremely, extremely frustrating. If they have something like Duress, it takes Once Upon a Time. Dark Depths for our opponent. Okay. Sylvan Scrying. Yeah, so this is a Dark Depths combo deck. They're going to go ahead and get Thespian Sage. Thespian Sage next turn can copy Dark Depths and ruin our day. Oh, wow. He's got... Are you fucking kidding me, man? Holy crap. Alright, well, I'm just going to go ahead and concede. Even if we get our creature, we lose it. If we don't, we lose it. Next turn, he gets a 20/20, etc., etc. So, here I can see us just bringing in these Leyline of Sanctities, maybe these Pithing Needles to name Thespian Sage. We can remove our Force Negations. I don't think they're going to be super good here. We might even want to remove our Force of Wills. Is there anything else we really want? I don't know. I have a feeling like we just remove Force of Will. Let's leave one Force of Will in and remove one Arcane Flight. I guess that'll do. Alright, so now we're on the play. A turn 1 creature is going to be better. This forest is pretty tragic. This Once Upon a Time is basically, because we have 2, it's like I've only got a 6-card hand. I think we could see a realistic, like, better 6, which has some card draw in it with our enchantments, or we could just mulligan to nothing. We also blanked on Leyline here. I'm just going to throw that out there. This is a massive low roll here. Opponent keeping a beautiful 7. Alright, we'll keep this. We can ditch Tropical Island, and we can ditch Force of Will, I suppose. We get our turn 1 creature. We get like a Slippery Bogle. I guess we go after Tundra here to protect the Savannah a little bit. Alright, so we'll see like one discard spell just take away our last remaining aura from hand. Okay, well he's just Sylvan Scrying for a land instead. Finding that Dark Depths. Leyline of Sanctity right on time. So I think like if we play our Staggering Insight, we probably just resolve it. I will go ahead and sack this Flooded Strand. I guess we'll get the Savannah as well. Maybe we'll be punished for not playing around like a Moon Effect or something. I don't really think so, or a Punishing Fire. No. And I just missed my attack because I was busy typing to my opponent. Alright, well, I'm an absolute dingus here. So opponent gets down the Dark Depths. Has he got the Vampire Hex Mage? Sure. Alright. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and concede that one. Maybe we could have Pithing Needle blind named the Hex Mage. But, like, I mean, I think we need to attack, deal damage, draw cards to actually have a shot of winning. We weren't even close to that. As you can see, like, Force of Will would have been, like, potentially semi-good. But also just probably, like, because it counters the Hex Mage, right? So overall, what do I think of this deck in Legacy? Honestly, it doesn't feel very good in Legacy for me. Someone that knows the format better could probably have guessed that. I do like the idea of having access to something like Once Upon a Time, enabling us to cast our like 1 mana creatures and all of that. But honestly, with the prevalence of like Force of Will on top of Force of Negation against all these blue decks, it just makes it much harder to resolve any of our auras. On top of that, we have to deal with like some 0 mana decks as well, and we don't really have access to, or at least I didn't sideboard in things like Chalice of the Void. Other than that, Curious Obsession is probably good if it resolves, but like opponents will. It's kind of similar to Modern, but the consequence of like not getting it on turn 2 seems way higher. Because if you don't have a Curious Obsession hand with like Bant and Modern, it just feels like way worse than what you do. Like a Curious Obsession by turn 2, I mean. In Legacy here, it feels like really bad if you don't have the Curious Obsession hand either. I think we're a little bit unfortunate with some of our mulligans from like our land base letting us down with like a basic that couldn't cast anything, or like we'd hit like the Savannah or the Horizon Canopy and have like all blue auras in hand. Yeah, overall, I think just keep playing Modern, just keep beating up these Valky decks in Modern if that sticks around. Because I do think we're well placed in Modern to beat Valky. As far as Legacy is concerned, this is not the list that's going to get us there. I think if Legacy was less powerful than what it is now, we might get there, but yeah, not today. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Thank you for your time. If you've got any ideas on how I can improve this deck, please let me know below. If you want to come watch me play some pretty chill games in Modern, come subscribe and catch us then as well. Have a great day, guys. I'll see you next time. Cheers.